Exactly. It's
because
because
still holding hope.
they've built up a lot of history in which to pull from. And it's the exact same 5 players and the same coach that won the split.
Yeah.
And finished second at MSI. So, like, it's seemingly not a matter of will, but when.
Yes.
But the longer it takes, the more you begin to question if it will happen or not.
Sure, and we've seen teams make this sort of run. TSM was 6th place and got 2nd by the end of it in the spring split, so the tried and true story of we'll just do it by playoffs, okay, it exists. It's just your fans are just kind of on the edge of their seats the whole time waiting for you guys to show up. CLG may be that here as we get ourselves through most of the picks and bans. 2 of the big split pushers gone from Darshan, trying to remove that tried and true CLG style.
Make CLG beat you with something different. Everyone loves to point to Huhi for CLG's struggles. He hasn't played great. He has also said himself that he's really trying to find the right champions for him in this meta. Really, the only things that have worked for CLG have been the split pushers, so those are very intelligent bans, in my opinion, from Phoenix1.
All right, the final ban going through as Shen. That means the pretty much insta-lock on Karma, the first grab here. We know her as a flex between mid lane and support. At this point, I actually want to know the stats, so I bet you it's pretty close to 50-50. And we'll see as Trundle and his ear come through for CLG, finding another split-pushing fighter for Darshan.
Yeah, Trundle should fit in fairly well stylistically with CLG, although Trundle's not the champion that you really see people outplay with. It'll be interesting to see if Darshan can pick his battles properly, because that's really what playing Trundle is about. The Azir for Huhi is something he showed a lot of success with in MSI from a victory perspective.
Yeah.
But aside from that, a lot of it has been failures in execution. I still think it's a good champion for him. He's a good team fighter on it.
I definitely agree, and he's had the damage numbers there. You just see a lot of those easy to point out mistakes where the ulti doesn't quite land or he misses the combo or whatnot. And you know, we'll see if those fumbles happen again in this one. As you mentioned before, Huhi has been kind of a lightning rod for what's the reason CLG's losing? Must be him. And it's obviously, of course, more than that. P1 gets another Bard for Gate. The most recent game they won was off of him as the player of the game on this champion, and it only gets a Kindred as well.
Still, I wouldn't say he's really known for his Bard. He's definitely had a few good games on it, but some inconsistent performances for sure. I do like Phoenix1's draft thus far. A lot of mobility, good jungle champion. It'll be about how CLG decides to round their composition right now, because Phoenix1 is still pretty versatile.
And you talk about being known for Bard, of course, the most recent CLG win was actually off of Aframu's Bard. That was a game over Immortals, so not only is it good for Gate, but it's arguably Aframu's best. CLG would rather take the Azir and the Trundle early, didn't care that much about the champion, and actually they're going to save the support pick for last to let that Trundle be a flex.
Yeah.
Maybe they're looking for a matchup for Darshan.
Yeah, but the thing is with the Elise and the Ezreal, this is very much just playing towards CLG doing 1-3-1 again. Trundle in the side lane, Azir can be a mid laner or a bit of a side laner before. Very stylistic CLG, so I think they're just going to get the victories, and it's becoming a point where, like, I think they're going to try and just work everything around their style instead of trying to change their style, which historically has been what's given CLG success. Like, that's how they won their first 2 splits, so
I agree.
I don't expect them to go back and just start playing the same champions other people do. They're just going to try and find a way to work around the way they like to play the game.
I completely agree with you, Jet. And honestly, I feel like this is a state of the game right now where I think it's a non-restrictive, it's a very inclusive sort of meta game. I think there's a lot of different styles of champions available. You have poke mid laners and teamfight mid laners, and assassins are even there sometimes. A wide variety of different top laners, from mages to tanks to bruisers, marksman jungles, tank jungles, etc. So I think these are all options, and finding what you like across the multitude of options, I think, does work out pretty well. To quickly jump on the picks and bans, the Poppy pick got grabbed up for P1 alongside a pretty standard Sivir, and now it's CLG's last.
Absolutely. The Poppy pick is something we definitely haven't seen for a while. Will match up not very favorably with the Trundle, to be honest. Trundle is really good into Poppy, so actually quite confused about that pick.
I agree, but
there were a lot of top lane bans, so they didn't have much to go off of, but there's still plenty of stuff.
Okay, Braum, the final pickup here, so another tank picked up for CLG. You got champions like Swain still up there. There are some fighters or some mages that do well against the matchup.
Yeah.
Not going to be the case. Double tank now for CLG.
Interestingly enough, yeah, with that Braum pick, it can very easily flex into a teamfight composition for CLG, right? Like Azir, Braum, Ezreal, Trundle is a good team fighting core, And then Xmithy always likes playing Elise into Kindred because of the CC lock they can achieve. And overall, that just speaks highly of this draft for CLG. I think this is a really good mix of past and present and fits well currently in the game, as well as showing their style.
Definitely agree. So CLG looking pretty strong in their draft. Phoenix1 with their new look with Inori finally back in the roster. Empyrean staying in the mid over Slushy. Feels like they've grabbed something that they like. The potential damage is certainly very high. Sivir can 1v5 in the ideal scenario. So can Kindred, we saw from Meteos.
Right. I think P1 has a very movement speed heavy team composition, but their actual lockdown and it has to be very, very precise.
Poppy and Bard are the tools.
Not as big of a fan of Phoenix1's composition, but we'll see how it plays in game.
Execution requirement certainly a lot higher. We'll see if it does work out for them. And as you said, we'll see how it goes out in game. And you guys let us know how it's going to go out before the game even happens. Tweet at LA Sports, hashtag P1 win, hashtag CLG win. Looks like the fans in favor of Counterlogic Gaming here, but show your support for your favorite team, who it's going to be. Once again, Inori back in lineup for Phoenix1, 0-6 without him. Sadly, 0-2 or 0-1 with him so far. CLG could make that 0-2 as this squad still hopes to move up the standings. Xmithy said they might be a mid-tier team. So you're looking like just that. Here we go into game one. Which team's going to start, finally turn the season around? Phoenix1 versus CLG.
Yeah, I talked about on the analyst desk earlier how Phoenix1 really just wants to start kind of preparing for how they're going to deal with the other teams towards the bottom, whereas CLG, they should still have championship aspirations. It's just been such a slow start. And previously, when you're in best of ones, like, obviously this is still the worst start any defending champion's ever had, but it's maybe even more excusable if it's best of ones, being like, they're just getting unlucky in some games. Maybe they could easily be this way.
Yeah.
But no, CLG is just like legitimately losing these best of threes, and even the best of threes they're winning are often taking them 3 games to do.
Uh-oh, Stixxay pretty much
it was a bait.
Attacked, then Afro misses the chair.
This was definitely a bait.
Darshan not quite going to pick off Gate, but it does mean another flash is down, so Mash and Gate both losing their flashes here. No summon is burned by Counter Logic. Nice boomerang hits 4 times. And even more poke coming through. Yeah,
Stixxay's actually getting pretty low. But overall, I really like that level 1 from CLG. Making Gate and Mash get a little bit aggressive. CLG burns no summoner spells. They get both flashes from Phoenix1's bot lane, and they get their lane swap wards in.
Definitely solid. And Sivir will almost never take the mastery to lower the cooldown, so it's going to be the full 5 minutes for him, whereas 4:15 for the Bard. We'll see if the repeat gank comes in. I actually really do like Thunderlord's Ezreal, so props to Stixxay for doing my favorite keystone on him. Bond of Stone, normal, and yeah, pretty much down the line things we expect. Fervor, Trundle, by the way, I know I mentioned it last week. Did Darshan really want to go Fervor on Trundle? Turns out, yes, he did. And Fervor Trundle is a bit more common than I had thought coming in, picking it over Grasp.
Yeah, definitely when Trundle was first kind of resurging in the top lane, it was almost always the Grasp of the Undying, but I think especially because you're getting so many of these super long duels with Trundle in the side lanes, his damage gets rather ridiculous when you have the Fervor, and it just kind of speaks to the playstyle Darshan will want to play.
Oh, Zig getting caught out, running through the jungle. That's a 3rd flash down. Why did Zig even go there? You have to know that's where CLG could be jungling.
Yeah, I agree. I think CLG, oftentimes you'll see a team start on the top side and then finish on the bottom side to push the turrets in. So I think Zig was just trying to guess or something, but it's not like he's going to be able to solo the jungle by himself as a Poppy.
Throw a buckler at a monster, hope you steal one, like that's it?
I think that's basically what he was hoping to do. Either way, not worth it.
No.
Now he's running up top lane.
Well, thankfully for him, it's a lane swap, and more often than not, round 2 of the lane swap is still non-combat, so we may never need to use that flash unless a turret gets angry at him. So it might not mean too much, and Nori going to grab this red buff pretty easily. Looks like a fairly reasonable trade of jungle camps. That's kind of Logic Gaming. Oh no, Afro move.
Yeah.
He's going to be okay.
2 turret shots.
Yeah. He's probably going to be fine. He's still not going to be in combat with any champions for a while, so it shouldn't mean much of anything. Turret trade seems to be going just fine, and really the only difference is how the mid laners are faring, which is slight lead for Purian, and how the junglers are doing, which was honestly very close to equal as well. Yeah,
and the very early lane for Karma can be super strong, as is just with Karma in any lane right at the start. CLG gives full experience and gold, well, full gold to Darshan here. 76% vote. Would it be higher if CLG didn't start 2 and 5?
It probably would be. But then the curse of 90%, they lose the game.
Yeah, that's true.
So I actually want to point something out, something I've noticed since I've been watching teams mostly give solo gold to their top laners. We talk about lane swaps or at least we used to, talk about them starving top laners. Like, oh, there's a Jack, you should lane swap, get rid of his gold. If you're giving solo gold to the top laner, they have the same amount of money as your AD carry. Like, Darshan's at 1,200. He's at more than 6A. And a similar boat right here for Zig on Poppy. The marksman, the AD carry, tends to get the minion kills, but the +4 for the turret matches that. And as far as lane swaps are concerned, the gold goes equal.
Yeah. Here's a thought.
Yeah.
Although it's probably not going to happen just because of the nature of the way lane swapping works. But, okay, never mind. They're going to do a gank on the mid lane.
Watch that first. Ooh, good trade of flashes. A nice attempt by Smithy. And that is now 4 flashes that P1 have used. This one actually a forced usage, though.
If you're going to try and make a huge meta call about definitely going to be a lane swap, want to move my gold around in the best possible way, technically, you could, if you say a top lane, if the theory is correct that a top laner scales better with levels and a marksman scales better with gold.
Oh.
Right?
The top laner starts...
Or the other way around. Wouldn't you just let the top laner get the CS kills at the beginning and give the solo turret gold to the AD carry before swapping back? Because then technically the AD carry gets all the gold, but the top laner would have more levels and relatively equal gold.
So while I think that's true, and I like that thought, I think the reason it'll never work is because normally the top laner holds the freeze afterwards because they're holding teleport.
Yep.
Right? They have to be mobile around the map.
That's
so if
fine.
you wanted to bring teleport on MASH and make that play, yo, I'm down.
We've seen teleport on AD carries before. It has not ended well.
And then Deft used it in the middle of a team fight when he meant to heal. Yeah, also I feel like Sivir flanks worse than Poppy flanks.
Yeah.
Generally speaking. But you're right. Like if that were the only factor, I would agree with you entirely. But because of the whole teleport usage thing, certain champions are better with it. And then, yeah, that starts kind of flowing around.
Starts falling apart. Because, I mean, that's the whole thing about top laners is like they're always able to join the fights with teleport. So.
Yeah, very typically. It's very rare you don't see that happen.
Even more gold to Darshan, though. He's now at 2,000.
Woo! 2025. Ah, he didn't quite get 2006. It was 2005, then it jumped.
You're slightly ahead of the curve, freak.
Oh, you're right. Sorry. I looked over at my screen. Spoiler alert. It never hit 2006.
We've talked about it before. Earlier on in the game, the broadcaster's on a very slight delay from the players.
Yes.
So they don't accidentally get tipped off by a crowd reaction before a gank. Broadcast wizardry makes it equal time by the end of the game. How do we do it?
Magic.
We speed it up during a replay.
Yep.
Yeah, that's how
Speed it up during a replay. Every once in a great while, I'll actually see it like on screen. There's actually been ones. I remember back in the day before we spectated with 2 computers. This would be like at random third-party events as well. The observer would scroll off into the jungle and then speed up while they're like in fog of war.
So you can't see.
And then scroll over to the lane and be like, "You never saw this."
Yep.
Wizardry.
Oh, Infernal Drake is the first one. And this is actually a bit of a sneak move by CLG. The ward goes over the top, so now CLG has to bring a 0 over. But Kindred is nowhere to be found, so this should be a Drake for CLG pretty easily.
Yeah, no punish at all. Of course, Infernal Drake with AoE damage killed the Spiderlings off much, much earlier. Not that it means too terribly much here. Smithy will grab this one nice and clean. Smites it to be sure. And Infernal Drake means more stats for Counterlogic Gaming, which actually means a lot for Darshan and Huhi, who are going to scale nicely.
Yeah, and it'll be later in the game where this is powerful. Even though Infernal Drake is one of team's favorite late-game Drakes, it's a percentage boost, so there's not many percentages to boost early on in the game like this.
Not so much. But they'll probably be okay with this one. Darshan looks like he's going to be holding the best of a freeze that he can, and with the Drake off the table, honestly, Darshan can benefit from this quite nicely. There's probably not much that Phoenix1 can push with this. Kindred's not on the side of the map either. They can't shove it into the turret, and this means Zig's life's getting hard really fast. If he doesn't have good ward coverage, there's Nick Smithy going to be plugging him before too long. Similar boat, though, for the bot lane duo as CLG pushes it in, and Mash and Gate just trying to freeze it.
Yeah, Huhi also doing very well in the mid lane so far on Azir, shoving in Pyrion's Karma quite well. Hasn't had to burn any summoner spells. Pyrion hasn't used a teleport to zoom back to lane either. So this early game is quite good for CLG, I would have to say. No one falling behind, everyone pulling slightly ahead.
600 gold up with a dragon take as well. Oftentimes you sacrifice minions to get a dragon or to kill an early Drake. And we saw that with early week Apex, actually. My favorite example of this was Apex CLG, actually, as a series. CLG, though, 700 gold lead with the Drake. Like, they're just ahead by being better players, it looks like.
I think it's more just like moving around the map better, for sure.
It's some of both.
It is, true, because the mid lane has been a straight-up CS advantage, and other things are just like better individual decisions, but it's the fact that the team is on exactly the same page on how this lane swap is going to work in this situation.
Yeah. Yeah, I agree. I'm hearkening partially to what, I believe it was Mark who said, maybe it was Crumbs, I'm sorry if I got you wrong, but it was talking about what made the low-tier teams low-tier teams. Like, well, there's actually a lot to fix. Individual players are oftentimes a bit worse, also the macros off, and CLG, you know, fewer systematic problems with that squad. Ultimately. And their lane swap has still been good. And it's not like any of those players forgot how to play this kind of game, and they continue to have great early game leads. But we saw in the pregame, their gold difference at 20 is still pretty deplorable because everything after that just starts falling.
For sure, and they're still going to have to make that first aggressive move to break the game open. They've been able to gain slight advantages, but it's not like they're going all over the map killing people yet.
Nice mark pickup there by Inori, which puts him at 1. So that was his first one of the game. You got to get 7 more in 15 minutes to catch Meteos.
I know, Meteos had 4 at 8 minutes in his Kindred game.
8 at 22, I think?
Yes, correct.
Yeah.
He was going off.
Yeah.
A little bit of luck, a little bit of skill.
A little bit of both. I ran into Cloud9's owner, I think, Jack. I forget his title, but Jack Etienne, famous in Cloud9. And he was saying, yeah, there was one time where they were going for a dragon, and right as they started attacking it, the mark spawned on it. And he was like, and in his mind, he's like, oh, calculated. I was like, well, so it's 50-50 because once you're, I think it's 5 marks, it's either on Rift Herald or Elemental Drake. Yep. It can only be on those 2 at a certain threshold. So you, at worst, it's a coin flip. But then also, Kindred passive has a cooldown before it marks another monster. Yeah. And Jack was like, yeah, oh, hold on, Stixxay's going to die. Or try to get away from this. There's a Sivir ulti. Stixxay's running. Ignite is on him, and he's putting the ulti across, but he's got nowhere to go. The stun's going to land, and they give it over to Mash. A great kill. What a pickup there by Phoenix1, finding a play in the early to mid game.
Yeah, Stixxay getting caught out a little bit here. That's something that was one of his problems earlier on in the spring split, but it seems to be a problem towards the end. And even with the pink ward, he just doesn't have the right angles to prevent that gank from happening between Mash and Gate. No turret behind him, trying to farm an Ezreal too far up the lane. At least he didn't burn summoners because he was definitely dead. Yeah,
so smart of Stixxay to realize he was gone, and a great, of course, magical journey. Gate making that one happen, absolutely. Really nice stuff by him. To finish the Meteos story, Jack was like, yeah, they were actually just waiting for Smite to come back from cooldown to make sure it was safe. That ended up timing the Kindred passive. And I was like, you should just learn to time Kindred passive and then pretend it was calculated. And he goes, yeah, it was calculated, obviously. So, want to tell that story? As we are in an otherwise slow game, but Phoenix1 making the first aggressive move. Sadly for them, they are still down in gold. It's a 45 million difference in the top laners. That's pretty rough. And Stixxay had caught up most of the way. And plus 20 for Huhi.
Exactly. Darshan is 2 levels above Zig right now. Part of that is from very early on in the game where Zig had to burn his flash and really just, he's been trying to wait around, but Darshan has been able to catch all the waves, and then Zig has not.
Darshan catching, though. The root's going to hit him. All the damage comes through. Pillar, the Azir ulti, and Huhi saves his top laner. Darshan gets away. And now it's pressure on the mid lane as 4 have arrived. Everyone but the Ezreal. Yeah, down to half.
Really poor pathing there from Darshan, not respecting Phoenix1 whatsoever. He could have just gone around the river while they were rotating to try and take the turret, but he was trying to save every second and just rotate to that mid lane to take it.
Yeah. 2 ultimates down for CLG because of this one. Trundles and Azir as a trade of flashes, and Huhi's heal used as well, so definitely more resources available to Phoenix1. But Counterlogic Gaming still looking a bit aggressive. Nice bit of poke and Aperion. Arcane Shift and a Mystic Shot, and the Conquering Sands comes through for a bit of damage as well.
We'll say Aperion poked back pretty well with Mantra Q. Landed another one on both of them, so getting some good AoE damage off.
Shields the Mystic Shot once again, and looks like P1 will stay afloat in the mid lane.
Yeah, even gold.
Yeah, first blood making it for the farm difference, and otherwise these teams are, they're matching up quite nicely, so we'll see how it extends from here. Next Drake up is Mountain, which means quite a bit more later on in the game, but still doesn't suck to have now. And Phoenix1 are here first. Smithy just getting back from base, so they might not even get here in time. Now, Mountain Drake is the tankiest of the 4, but even that extra 25% durability roughly is not going to be enough to stop them. That's a great pickup by Phoenix1, capitalizing off the mid lane poke that Pyrion got down, honestly, withstanding it all, and taking down a nice Drake buff.
Yeah, so at least Phoenix1 is staying in the game here. Taking that Drake buff, kind of equalizing the game a little bit. The question will be whether or not they can utilize that Mountain Drake to actually hit turrets. because the map pressure does still feel like it's in favor of COG for most of this.
Yeah.
And also the scaling advantage feels like it's on COG's side with the Karma and the Poppy don't seem like the most dominating of solo laners late in the game, especially...
Yeah.
Zyrian just mentioned if he sees Pyrian build Athene's on mid lane Karma, he's going to be triggered. I think he's casting right now, so we'll have to tell him later.
It was Ninja, I think, last time, right? He was talking about Envy, but it looks like P1 doing the same thing.
Right. I mean, you can go AP Karma, and it's not necessarily bad, but it's very supportive.
Yes.
Because it still will give a little bit of ability power, but it also will mean he'll be healing a little bit when he can store up the charges. With
Gate is donezo. Walks right into a couple of wards. CLG had already prepped that one, picked him off nicely.
Yeah. Sorry, I didn't get to see the start.
Okay.
I was reading about Athene's Unholy Grail because the game just turned on it. Basically, they're already a low damage team, so to go an even more supportive build on your mid laner doesn't seem ideal.
I agree with you. It's really putting it all on Inori and Mash to do all the damage, and not the fastest start for those two. So you're right, it might be a difficult road ahead for Phoenix1. A great Rift Herald pickup as well means Darshan's going to feel great until 35 minutes into this game. And Zig was already having a hard time in the one-on-one. It's going to get worse.
Yeah, that's going to be lining up very well for Darshan. He will definitely be able to solo threaten kill on Zig. It's the question of whether he can take 2 or 3 people on.
Tyrion wants in, so does Mash. Look for Smithy. He's going to flash away from the root, but that is at least a 700 burn. Phoenix1 making a good punish of cooldowns. Looking back at the mid lane now is Smithy is far away. We'll see how well who he can defend the mid lane. There's actually not that much dive threat with the Sivir ulti down, and so Phoenix1 going to back off.
Surprised they haven't been using Bard ult to set up any of these plays, because typically it's a Bard ult into the Sivir ult to speed you up and get there. Instead, they're just kind of doing Sivir Karma and hoping to run people down. That's allowing easier escapes for COG.
I agree. Well, it's been CLG most getting away with it. Of course, there was that still the great first blood that Gate got with the Magical Journey, but it still hasn't been Tempered Fate. We talked about Phoenix1 having a kind of low damage team. It's also all physical. Pyrian is not doing like he's even going Mercury Treads, right? Like this is a very low damage build out of the Karma. So once again, CLG gets to stack armor. You have a Ninja Tabby out of Darshan, so he's even better equipped for dealing with Zig and a split push.
Right, and Aftermoo can most likely build a Frozen Heart later on.
Yeah, wouldn't doubt it.
On the Braum.
Boop. Oh, nice try.
Very close. Mainly though, COG is slow playing this one a little bit. This is reminiscent to me of their game against Echo Fox, however, in which they ended up winning actually very quickly. It was around 26 or 27 minutes. They just slowly accumulated this lead with Darshan getting more and more ahead, and then Darshan got a 1v2 kill and the game was over a minute and a half later. Maybe that could happen again. I don't want to give this one away yet because COG has been very inconsistent, but this definitely feels like an older school COG game where they're in control and then will make the right calls rotation-wise later in the game to pull out a victory.
Yeah, I agree. I think CLG still do come in as the favorites, and the game's looking pretty good for them pacing-wise. To talk about what Phoenix1 are doing, their series yesterday against Energy was a little bit heartening because we were seeing them play a bit more aggressively. You had Inori play like Olaf and a couple of Hecarim games, and it was like, all right, these guys playing pretty aggressively. Like we're seeing some playmaking happening. It's good to see like a lower tier team actually make some aggressive moves and get things to happen. But Inori's now on a scaling jungler, right? He's on this Kindred, just like looking for marks, looking to get things done, and this sort of infusion of new blood was like, all right, Phoenix1's aggressive now. That's sick. I get some things done. But now it's like, I just want to sit back and farm. But CLG's out scaling.
Yeah, he was able to pick up his 3rd mark right there, which is nice. And I would challenge that, like, the Kindred as a scaling jungler, like, Kindred has a lot of early pressure and I'd say it's like a snowball marksman, actually.
Okay.
Because I see late game Kindred is only successful when your early game is strong. So they got to be sure to not be too passive here. Getting 3 marks is nice. Like, it takes aggression from the Kindred just to get the marks in the first place, even if you're not getting kills or assists. But I think this game pace will still favor COG. Okay. I agree with what you're saying. Just want to add the clarification on Kindred. The wrinkle on Kindred.
Really worthwhile, yeah, thank you. You're much better jungler than I am. And now the pull on the red buff. Smithy wants this one. A ward over the wall, and his fight goes to Inori. Maybe a sign of things to come. He had lost all those battles against Santorin yesterday. But winning this fight against Xmithie, a nice bit of vindication. Red buff goes to him. And now the attempt in the mid lane. A good dodge by Hui, but Sivir wants in. Nope. Shifting sands away.
And he's not even close to getting caught by that one.
2 ultis for nothing. And once again, at least we're seeing them attempt some level of pressure, but it honestly isn't landing, and it hasn't for quite a long time.
And like you said earlier, it goes twofold. First off, you want to be able to land the Bard ultimate, which would be an individual move. And second off, you want the teamwork to wait for the hit confirm on the Bard ultimate before using the Sivir ultimate. That way, at least you can have the utility up for later. Yep. But instead, they use the Sivir ultimate like right before the Bard ultimate missed, and both ultimates are used for nothing.
Yeah. Well, as long as they can wait until it all spawns back up, or sorry, cools back down, I should say, it wouldn't be terrible for Phoenix1, but they're getting pushed out of their own jungle. CLG once again grouping back on the mid lane. And this very slow-paced game one is, well, slowly growing a lead for Counter Logic Gaming. Inori chunked to half thanks to a true shot barrage, and that means the turret will finally go down as Ezreal's finished his Iceborne Gauntlet. And as Manamune, even more poke from Huhi comes out, and it means that Phoenix1 are forced very far back. Next Drake is alive. Ocean, not ideal for CLG. I assume they would have liked another Infernal, honestly. Maybe even Mountain for the Siege, but, well, at least Stixxay has infinite mana now.
Yeah, still going to be solid. I love being able to stay out on the map longer with Ocean Drake.
Yeah. And it actually helps certain champions more. Ooh, look at that. Okay, that's nice. It will help them play the Siege game. And honestly, it means a lot on Ezreal, who every time he hits a champion is going to burn some mana with this mana, with eventually Muramana, right? And with a giant champion pool of having a stack tier and an Iceborne Gauntlet means he's going to have a lot of mana coming back, which actually, so Ocean might be more damage than Infernal Drake for an Ezreal.
Correct, because he'll be able to continually regen his missing mana. Whoop. Darshan forces the Poppy ultimate, and now Afro might be a little caught out.
But no one from Phoenix1 is even in range to do anything. A nice supportive move by Darshan. There we go. Tempered Fate hits only the tankiest member on the team, and he actually guesses wrong on who he actually tagged. I think he was looking for it to be Afromu in the bottom of that tri-brush, but he wasn't there. Gate went for the blind Q and missed.
So COD still pulling ahead ever so slightly. We'll say who is getting a big lead on Pyrian.
Oh, yeah.
And depending on how his team fighting will be at the end, like the blue build Ezreal plus Vizier is very, very strong in team fights. It's actually two of the core champions that CLG had to deal with against SKT in their finals at MSI.
Yeah.
So hard to engage on. Also, Azir and Ezreal can counter-engage or engage themselves very well. You know, you start landing one Ezreal Q, and that gives Azir time to just continue poking.
Yeah, they have long-range repeatable slows. Ezreal's Q on a fairly, well, Ezreal's very short, but even Azir's only on a 3.7-second cooldown. And mid lane outer is already dead. Counter Logic Gaming have already cracked the outer shell. You can see how hard pushing in is. Yes, okay, they get some poke, and that's nice. Pyrian can heal a little bit, Gate can as well, but Sivir's Wave Clear, turns out it's really good, and Poppy and Kindred, and heck Karma as well, really good at stopping being dived. It's like, well, here's all the shielding and healing and pushing away in the world.
True. And the Wave Clear from Sivir adds to that, which means COD has to be fairly measured with the way they go in, which also is good that Darshan is pulled ahead and will be doing the split push game. Very aggressive build from him, by the way, with the Hydra and a Sheen completed. With the Health Crystal actually makes me think he might be going Triforce on Trundle. It's a possibility.
Triforce on Trundle? Yeah, that could easily be the case right here. Looking for a bit of punishment onto Zig and not quite finding any more. Yeah, I guess he feels that Pillar's enough of a slow for himself, so going for a higher damage, higher move speed build would work better for him. But a very offensive Trundle build for sure, if that's the case.
Hey, back in Season 2 when I was a pro player and played Trundle, I built Trinity Force on him every game in solo queue.
That's true.
It's actually a very good Trundle item for the move speed and the burst damage because you can consistently proc your Q. And now with 20% CDR, it would also be good, but they catch Huhi.
Okay, Huhi gonna get stunned up. No, nice! Afro puts the shield, which blocks the second half of the Bard Q. So no stun into Huhi, a great play by Afro to keep his teammate alive. And now Stixxay caught up, but a nice ulti stops Zig in his tracks. Stixxay gets over the wall, and they're gonna be okay for now. CLG still got the fight. Zig ultis, and oh, he misses. Huhi's back in. They want this Poppy. Gates running away. Magical Journey's there, into the bottom side. Stixxay picked off, and Nori without him even ulting. Another kill comes through as Xmithie gets executed. Now Mash on the bottom side of the map getting trapped as well by Hydra, and that's 3 kills picked up. And now it's on to Zig once again, slowed down by the Braum. Will come for hits, he'll do it. Can't quite pick him off. A 3-0 to CLG. Great fight.
Just like that, and that was a huge mechanical outplay by Huhi. Where's the highlight of that? People are so willing to show the poor plays he makes, but the big play was right there as he disengaged Zig on the wall stun, and CLG take full control of this with one swift fight. They get the inhibitor.
And actually, you mentioned the Echo Box game, but here we go. A 20-ish minute team fight takes an inhibitor down. A 3-0 on Counter Logic Gaming. Kind of like that one, feeling good now. Yeah,
Proto Belt on Xmithie allowed him to jump in and burst a little bit with Elise. Slow clap from Freak, watching this one more time. They get the ultimate on Ahuhi, but watch Stixxay proc his ultimate right there. Gets a bunch of damage on gate, which pushes them back, and really, there's no initiation here. It's over. So, as Zig flies in, Ahuhi preempts it, pre-casts his ultimate, completely stuffs the engage, and then on the backside, they actually were able to kill Inori down here. Just gets him with enough damage before he ultimates. The Arcane Shift burst. Xmithie Proto Belts in. And the chase on to Zig and Pyrion at the very end of it. Not quite able to pick up the kill, but they were getting turrets on the bottom side.
So now Phoenix1 looking for the miracle play. They are trying to hide inside of a brush. They've taken the scuttle. They've got a pink ward down. And CLG a little bit late to realize what's going on.
He might die here.
Oh, he's got Xmithie. He does get slowed down. And there is the Bard ultimate. Gate to land the stun. They push him back into it. Perfect teamwork right there. And Nori gets the kill. And after a knockup means Xmithie repels up to nothing. He's in the raft. He's going to land and take some damage. But no, it's time for the re-engage. Darshan picks up Gate once again. A knockback and Zig's cut off. He runs away, but not fast enough. He gets another kill for himself. 6-2 CLG.
Yeah, can't quite save Aphromoo. He was correctly suspicious for a reason of people being in that brush. But puts himself in a dangerous situation for sure. They're actually turning for Baron right now. Azir kills it very fast, but here comes Pyrion.
It's going to be too late. Picked off nicely. Counter Logic Gaming with a large advantage now. Getting away from
wants to get this kill.
E into Q could get up. Lands it for a little bit more. Can't dodge the inner flame, but that means it will be Pyrion getting away with this.
And they don't have the minion wave prepped quite in the top side, but they can get blue buff for sure. And it is a big wave if they can get it to crash. So expect CLG to try and make a push right now. The Ocean Drake will help them heal up a little bit before they make this push. Correctly able to play around the Drakes they have. You can stay out on the map much longer with Ocean Drake. That is the biggest value of it, in my opinion.
It's like they have old Baron again.
And look, Stixxay's full health.
And a double stun is nice. Xmithie losing most of his health bar. This is going to make CLG consider their options pretty heavily because Phoenix1 are full HP. Xmithie very low now. May want to give this up. Zig chunked down. A lot of damage coming through. They almost pick him off. The Braum ulti misses. Just the wave clear right now. CLG, again, now out of minion wave. I really do think they should recall. There's an Infernal Break up for the taking.
Exactly. A little bit of an overreach with Aphromoo on his Braum ultimate, and that is a fairly key disengage they would no longer have, but
oh, stun from Gate they want, and again, Xmithie staying alive. Now the Kindred ulti to save 3 of them for now, but it's now the team forced to run away over the wall into the base. Who he chunked low, gets a heal in from Ezreal, but he's one hit from dead. They can't quite pick up any kills, and Counter Logic Gaming honestly playing with fire.
Yeah, that was a great Kindred ultimate, by the way.
Yeah.
Because it was positioned such that Phoenix1 could just use their base gate directly afterwards. So that's why it puts CLG in a dangerous situation. Watch the very beginning of this, though. Aphromoo, very suspicious. And in retrospect, Phoenix1 could have jumped at him at any moment because he technically did the proper scouting by throwing the Q into the wall. They still get the kill, but now watch Azir and Trundle approaching as Xmithie buys time with Repel. Get a bunch of damage on Pyrion and Gate. Darshan just runs in and wrecks him. Ahuhi pushes Zig back, and they're able to get another kill. So they turned it around quite well because they were so far ahead.
Nicely done by them. Counter Logic Gaming now with a sizable 7,000 gold lead. Infernal Drake number 2. The best one to have if you've got a big gold lead, which Counter Logic Gaming does, so it secures their stat advantage. And they will feel pretty darn nice, I gotta say. Kind of unlucky for Phoenix1. They haven't found any objectives to fight over since they took the Mountain Drake, so it's been literally useless for them.
Yep, and all this mid-game power spiking you'd think they'd be getting from having the Karma in the mid lane, they just haven't been even taking advantage of. They also need some good Bard ults to land, and they just haven't been able to follow up on those. But at this point, unless they catch literally every priority target from CLG in the same Bard ultimate, the people that aren't caught will be able to fend off the approach for the people that are caught. As we saw that one time when Stixxay used his Ezreal ultimate while Ahuhi was caught. So a lot of power here for CLG. Maybe they brute force his 5, or they could do split push because Darshan is still very strong.
Darshan, yeah, with a Sheen moving forward, looking for someone to fight and take a chomp out of, but now takes Turret Dagger. Will have to walk right back out. Nice poke out of Ahuhi. Pyrion a half, mash even lower. Stixxay choosing to go in unpunished. I feel like Gate actually could have maybe gone for the ult for the play on that one, but lets the Ezreal get away with it. Turret once again under fire with this Baron buff still on CLG. Look at the damage output. Bard ulti hits just
but there's the Ezreal ultimate to zone.
Oh, doesn't hit anyone though. It's now the shield in front. Xmithie buying some time. Turret goes down. A nice 2-man knockback from the Poppy, but there's still no fight coming out of Phoenix1. Ezreal, there we go. Stixxay finding another kill for himself. as mid lane gets crashed in and CLG take anything they even want right now. 5v4, inhibitor down onto the Nexus turrets. Under 29 minutes in, they've taken out number 1. It's time for number 2 as well. And it's now CLG looking for one last fight onto Zig. Knocks him into the air. Damage comes out of the Ezreal. Sixta getting himself yet another kill. 3, 1, and 2 onto him. Be a bit careful. The Nexus does do plenty of damage. The Fountain will do even more. The Minuet running low. Gate staying alive. A nice double stun coming out yet again from the Bard. Sixta cutting away, staying alive, just barely. Damage on Nori, can't quite kill him off, but now onto the Nexus. There's no stopping him. CLG taking a couple more kills just to secure the fantasy points. Sub 30 minutes, and Nori doesn't quite get knocked back, but it will be the game 1 win to start the match off right for Counterlogic Gaming.
Yeah, and we said like fairly controlled. They didn't take any big risks. They didn't jump out to a lead, so it didn't seem like this super stompy game until they found that fight at 20 minutes. And this was, like we said, very similar to their Echo Fox game, where they would slowly get Darshan ahead of the top lane, catch one big fight in the mid lane, and the scaling they had between the Azir for Huhi, the Ezreal for Stixxay, and the Trundle for Darshan just took him over the top and let him crush P1 in a pretty short fashion, 29 minutes.
Yeah, Counterlogic Gaming happy to play it reasonably slowly, and then as soon as they found a good advantage, it was like, all right, that means we can Baron, and then the game ended basically with Baron buff on them. It had like barely timed out, or was in 10 seconds either way of it. Yeah, so within one good team fight, the game ended in 4 minutes.
Yeah, and then it's also because when COG recognized they had a significant edge is when they started taking their bigger risks or their more bold plays, because they knew they had that lead to fall back on.